Hello guys and welcome to the 20th episode of Italian Politician of the... sorry, force of habit. This is the first video I make on ancient history in a while, so sorry for my absence. I just felt a momentary drop in interest to the subject in favor of Italian politics. If some of you remember, a few months ago I started a short series about ancient Sardinia and Corsica. Today I intend to finish this series by talking about the time it was conquered by the Romans and the role it had in the empire. If you are new here, remember to like and subscribe for more. Also, I recommend you to check out the other two videos before watching this one. Okay, I will give you like 5 seconds to click off and watch the other two videos. Hey, here you are. Let's get right into it. Before the Romans set foot on the islands, they were actually claimed by the Carthaginians, who used their coast as a strategic location for trade around the Mediterranean. But after their defeat in the First Punic War, Carthage had to give up the islands to the Roman Republic. Corsica and Sardinia remained under Roman rule for about 694 years, before the Vandals took over near the end of the Western Roman Empire. A lot happened during these 7 centuries that make these two parts of the empire so fascinating. The first 2 centuries were characterized by countless rebellions started by the Illenes, Balares and Corsi from 235 up until 111 BC, when the last major uprising took place. This was mostly because most of these islands were not urbanized, especially in the forested interior, and therefore the Romans always had a hard time keeping order in the region and often suffered from raids from the tribes living in the Barbagia Mountains. But while Sardinia had a lot of coastal cities that developed after trading with Carthaginians and Greeks for centuries, Corsica had a whole other story. Carthage never really took care of the island, since they saw it as a smaller Sardinia that was harder to reach, not to mention that in order to reach Corsica, they would have to pass through northern Sardinian waters that were full of pirates. The only people that were interested in Corsica were the Etruscans, especially Pupluna, though they never really settled there, or at least not that much. They just went there to buy raw metals from the natives. This made Corsica particularly hard to pacify at first. Their only major city before the Romans arrived was Illyria, a former Greek colony that was abandoned and taken over by the natives. Meanwhile, Sardinia had Balares, a very big city with 30,000 inhabitants that had a huge port and trade center. Sulci was also another very important smaller city that was still very rich and owes its fame to the lead mines. Other very important towns that grew rich by trade were Olbia, Sulci and Taros. Regardless of their difficult start, Sardinia and Corsica managed to play an important role for the Republic, economically speaking of course. Before Rome could get its hands on Egypt, Sardinia and Corsica served as the breadbaskets of Italy. Due to its low levels of urbanization and fertile lands, especially during the time of the civil wars, their metal deposits turned out very useful as well, not to mention the fact that Rome enrolled many Sardinians and Corsica in their navy. Since they had a long history of piracy, they turned out very efficient, though I would say that Corsica and Sardinia were seen as valuable provinces only during the 1st century BC, because before and after that they were mostly seen by a source of trouble by the Romans. Therefore I would divide the Roman Sardinian and Corsican history in 3 main phases. The first one is rebellion, the second is appreciation, and thirdly neglect. Overall, Corsica and Sardinia became trivial gains compared to the Roman Empire's eastern gains later on in history, like Roman Egypt. The Romans regarded both the islands and their people as backward and unhealthy. This was not only due to the few urban centers and the usual revolts and episode of piracy, but also for malaria, which was widespread in the area. Sardinians and Corsicans, especially the latter, were often subject to stereotypes and negative stigmas. Strabo described the Corsicans as beasts who could only live off plundering. Sardinians, on the other hand, especially the slaves, were seen as untrustworthy, lazy and likely to kill their owners if they got the chance. For that reason, they were sold very cheaply in markets. The proverb Sardi Venalis, which meant Sardinians for cheap, became a common Latin expression to indicate anything cheap and worthless. Even Cicero wrote about the Sardinians, remarking how barbaric they were and compared them to the Berbers of Africa, though Julius Caesar actually praised them after many of them actually allied with him during the Civil War. Charales, most famously, even lent a few troops to Caesar at the Battle of Thapsus in 46 BC. With the new millennium, people just didn't think of much about Sardinia and Corsica, while more like nobody really thought of Sardinia and Corsica for centuries. The only purpose the region served at this point was a destination for retirement or exile for politicians. Kinda like Southern Italy. Kinda sad, but it's Sardinia and Corsica after all what we're talking about. Nobody really thinks of them to this day. Thank you so much for watching. Chances are this will be the last video I will make this year, so I hope you enjoyed. Expect more videos on both Italian politics and history. I was thinking of covering Sicily next. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.